So I'm going to deal big data analytics. My name is Syed Fayaz Waris. I'm the assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. I'm going to handle the fourth chapter of big data analytics. And that first of all, you're going to see the content of the fourth chapter. The first part in four chapters, we are going to discuss about the Hive topic. Okay. In this part, we will discuss about introductions to Hive first. What is meant by Hive? Why Hive is so important, why Hive came to the real world. So you will deal about the Hive. Then you will discuss about the Hive architectures. What is the architecture of the Hive in details. Then you will discuss about the Hive data types. Okay, what are different types of data types available that you're going to discuss. Then Hive file formats, Hive query languages, user-defined functions in Hive. So these are topics we are going to cover the first part of your four chapters. That is called as Hive. Okay. Now here you're going to see what is the learning objective you're going to get from this Hive topic. You're going to study the Hive architectures in detail, that how Hives are going to work out in the real-time environment. You're going to study the Hive file formats. What are different types of file formats we are having, that we're going to discuss in details. And you are going to study the Hive query language, which is also called as HQL languages. Okay, and here at the end of this chapter, we should know how to interact with the database using the Hive HQL languages. Okay, so everything you're going to discuss one by one, and we have to learn these topics in very detailed way. Now, first we're going to see introductions to Hive. Okay, why Hive is so important? Why you are going behind the Hive? The first thing we have to learn about the importance of the Hive. So let me describe this scenario with some example, real-time examples we'll take how the organizations are working in the real-time environments. Okay, so let me explain this one with some real-time scenarios. Now we know that we have the organization, giant of IT industries. You take Google, you take Facebook, you take Yahoo. All these multinational companies are there. Now what they used to do is that they are using different databases to store the data. For example, you can use MySQL, okay, to store data, isn't it? You can use MySQL to store data. You can use Oracle, right? Oracle to store data. Okay, I can use Oracle to store data. For example, I'm telling. We can use, Microsoft SQL to store data. Okay, so it means we are using different database to store data. And why are using different database? Because we have some meaning, right? We can use Oracle database to do online transaction or do some transaction processing. We can use Oracle database, right? We can use MySQL to store some product item. If you want to store some product item, we can use MySQL, right? We can use Microsoft SQL for other purpose. It means we are going to store data in different database. Okay. So my question is that, is it only storage is enough for the companies? They want to store only data only? Is it so? No. If you store this data, we have to get some insight from this data. We have to get some valuable information from this data. Isn't it? We have to do some analyzing on this data. That is the important part here. How we can perform analyzing. Okay. So what you can do is that, for example, let me say I'm the manager, okay, of the companies, and my CEO of the companies asking report about my companies. Okay. So as a manager, what I do, I can tell to my colleague, Mr. Raghu, the CEO is asking report about my companies. Can you help me out? Because if I generate a good report for my companies, the CEO may give me promotion, they may give me hike, and I can get some benefit from the organizations. So what I'll do, I'll take off help of my colleague or my friend, and I'll try to dig information from every database. Okay, I can dig information from MySQL. I can dig information from you can say MS SQL. I can dig information from oracles. It means my main objective is what? To get information from these different databases. Okay. So here what we can do is that I can use some BI tools, which is called as business intelligence. What is mean by the term business intelligence? Business intelligence in the sense I am having data. From data I am going to get some insight, valuable information. That is called as business intelligence. It means from this data, I am going to get some valuable informations from this stored data. So for that, I can use business intelligence. So to perform business intelligence, we have different tools. We have called as business intelligence tools. Okay. For example, see Tabula is example of business intelligence tools. You can call as Databox is example of the business intelligence tools. So what I am doing is I am digging the information from this database using some business tools. And similarly I am doing for this Oracle. Similarly I am doing for MySQL. But we are going to face some problem here. Why? Because whenever I am going to dig some information to this MySQL, what happens is that what impact you're going to have is that the performance of this database is going to decrease, because I'm applying BI tools here, right? I'm applying BI tools here, and I'm applying BI tools here like this. What happens is that the main impact is that the performance of this database is going to be decreased. So we don't want to decrease the performance of this database, because this is called as real-time database. What is going to call as real-time database, or it is also called as OLTP. That is called as online transaction processing system. Okay, so this is my real database. I don't want to make my real database to decrease their performance, because my organization's data depends on this database. So what I can do, that's my problem. Here, to solve this problem, here real pictures come into real scenarios, that we are going to have a big elephant. You can call it big elephant. Suppose you're going to call it a big elephant like this. This is going to call as data warehouse. What is going to call as data warehouse? What is going to call as data warehouse, right? Now, in data warehouse, what we're going to do is that we are going to dump the data from this database into data warehouse. So you can call as that data warehouse is nothing but it is a collection of different database. It's a collection of different database, right? So we are getting the data from this database, MySQL, Oracles, MS SQLs, and you are just dumping into the data warehouse. So now, if you bring this data into the data warehouse here, we have different data are there, all data is available. It means this data warehouse will contain the massive amount of data. It stores the large volume of data. It stores more amount of data, because it is collection of different databases. Right? Now, the thing is that, now what I can do is that, now here I can apply BI tool. What I can apply here is BI tool to analyze the data, because our main goal is what? To analyze the data, to understand the customer behavior, what customers really expect from my organization, how I can develop the product based on the customer satisfaction, right? So in order to get all this kind of information, what I'm doing is that I'm applying the tool which is called as BI tool, business intelligence tools such as Tabula, Databricks. We have a lot of business intelligence tools available. After applying here, what happens? Now this data house is ready to access. This data house is ready to generate the report in the forms of pie charts, in the forms of tabular, in the forms of graphical representation. It means we are going to get a beautiful report about our organizations. Right? Again, here we have a problem. The problem is that if you want to implement this data warehouse architectures here, it is, first of all, you need a data warehouse. Now, from where you going to get this data warehouse? There are some companies who are going to provide you data warehouse. For example, we have companies called as Teradata companies. What is going to call as Teradata companies are there. Oracle, Exadata companies are there. These companies are there. Okay, these companies are going to provide you the data house appliance. You go to companies, you tell them, I need a data warehouse. What these companies will do? They'll give an appliance, just like a box. You take this box, come to organization, install the box, and you can dump your data, and later on you can do analyzing. You can use BI tools, and you can generate the reports. Okay, so here is fine. Everything is going in the real-time environment. But problem is that this data warehouse implementation is a very costly affair. We need a lot of money to implement this. It's not matter of 1 rupees or 2 rupees or 10 rupees, right? We have to invest money in the terms of millions of dollars, right? We have to invest more money. It's very costly affairs, right? So here, this data warehouse is called as what? It is going to call as what? OLAP, which is called as what? Online Analytical Processing System. Okay, so this is very costly affairs, because if you want to implement, you have to invest a lot of money. The companies have dumped a lot of money, so it is very costly affairs. So to overcome this problem, what happens? Our main scenarios are going to come here. The main scenarios is nothing but it is going to call as Hadoop. What is going to call as Hadoop? Okay, call as Hadoop cluster. Okay, this Hadoop clusters. This Hadoop cluster is going to store a big data. Okay, very massive amount of data. We know that the big data is what? Is a combination of structured data, unstructured data, and semi-structured data. So this Hadoop will going to store the big data, the large amount of data. We can have a massive amount of data, and you can store them and you can process them. Okay, so if you want to store data in Hadoop, we already know in third chapter that we discuss about call as concept HDFS. What concept you discuss? HDFS. Okay, what is HDFS? Hadoop Distributed File System. Okay, this Hadoop Distributed File System is basically used to store large volume of data, to store massive amount of data, which is called as HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. So this is meant only for the storage of large amount of data. Is it clear? So this is only for storage purpose. See, storage is not enough, right? We have to interact to data. We have to process the data, and to process data, we need a processing element which is called as MapReduced. What is going to call as MapReduced? Okay, this MapReduce is basically used for processing the large amount of data. Okay, so if you combine this HDFS, which can store large volume of data, and if you want to process them, we are going to use MapReduce. We are going to call as MapReduce. Keep it in mind, if you want to process the data in Hadoop, we have to use only MapReduce. There is no other option. There is no other option at all. What we have to use? We have to use only MapReduce for processing. That's all. And if you want to store data, we have to use HDFS. So this will bring a great relief for the IT companies. The IT companies feel happy. Wow, we got Hadoop, we can store large amount of data, we can process them fastly. So they feel happy, right? because they are not going to invest a lot of money like data warehouse, what they did before, right? So this will bring a very good relief for the IT industry. During that time in 2006, you see what happened in 2006. I hope everybody is using Facebook, right? Everybody is crazy about the Facebook. Everyone using Facebook. They're uploading images, they're chatting their friends, they are getting update about the world. Everything is crazy about the Facebook, right? Everybody is, if there is no Facebook, you feel, oh, today my day went very badly because I didn't use Facebook. So everybody's want only Facebook. So in the era of 2005, see, in the era of 2005, you can say, or 2006, the Facebook is very booming. You know, booming, exponentially growing the Facebook. The users are growing exponentially in the Facebook, right? So exponentially, the users are growing in the year of 2005 and 2006. The problem is here is what? The Facebook companies means they are getting data in the terms of terabyte. Massive amount of data they are getting. And you know that the Facebook companies are totally based on Oracle. They're using what database? They're using only Oracle database. Oracle database. Keep it in mind. The Facebook companies, what they used to use previously? They used to use only Oracle database. Oracle database. So they will store data in the Oracles and they do all processing using Oracle database only. Right? You just imagine per day, in one day, 70,000 queries they will use to fire. 70,000 queries per day. Okay, in that time I'm telling, in the year of 2005-2006. Even though Oracle is, anyhow they used to manage with Oracle, but the data is start going, and that's become a big headache for the Facebook companies. The problem is that, how they are going to handle the big data? How they are going to solve the problem of big data? Because they are getting data from different sources, they are getting data in a very large volume, and how they are going to manage all this data, right? So here the real picture comes. So somebody told to the Facebook companies that don't worry about big data. Now we have a solution. We have a solution called as Hadoop. We have a solution called as what? Hadoop. So when Facebook companies got a solution for the big data, which is nothing but going to call as Hadoop, what Facebook companies did, they had immediately migrate all this data from Oracle to Hadoop. Okay, it means all the structured data of Oracle is being migrated to Hadoop. So we are migrating this data from this Oracle to the Hadoop. So all the data has been migrated. Now the real thing is that now the data is stored in Hadoop, and if you want to interact to the data, we need to what? You need to use MapReduce, right? What do you have to use? We have to use MapReduce to interact to processing the data. Now suddenly what happens? The developers of Facebook, right? We have software engineers, we have developers, these people, right? These people we have. Now these people are very expertise in the fields of SQLs. They are very giant in the fields of SQL. They know how to operate oracles. They know how to process queries. These people are developers. They are very good in what? They are very good in oracles. Excellent in oracles. But these people have no idea about MapReduce. They don't know about the MapReduce framework, right? So these people, they know the SQL, this Oracle's database is very good way. The problem is that whenever they want to interact to this MapReduce, to the Hadoop, they can interact to the MapReduce. And MapReduce program, what? MapReduce programs are written in Java. What? They are written in Java only. So if they want to execute a single queries, the single queries must be written in Java. It may be 100 lines or 1,000 lines. And these developers, they don't know Java. Okay, how to write program in Java, how to execute them, how to create jar file, and how to run them. For them, it is very typical task, very difficult task for these SQL developers. Because the data is there in Hadoop, how to process data, they have no other option because they don't know Java, they don't know how to run the MapReduce programs because they are unaware of about the MapReduce. Because MapReduce program what is written only in the Java. So if they want to create MapReduce programs, first of all they should study Java. They should know how Hadoop frameworks are working. Then they have to, for each query, they have to write MapReduce programs. It may take number of lines. So it is very complicated task for these SQL developers. Now this time, SQL developers become crazy. Oh my God, what to do? How to solve this problem? Right? So what these people did? What happens? They want something, right? So that these problems can be solved. So all these SQL developers, they came and they had brought in a solution for this. What solution they brought? That they are going to write a queries only in just like SQL. Okay, suppose they want to write what? They want to write queries just like SQL. Okay, suppose they are writing some queries, right? In SQLs, they are writing some queries in SQLs. Because these people know SQLs. So whatever the queries they are writing in SQL, this query should be what? Translated into MapReduce program, right? Automatically what happens, this SQL queries must be translated into the MapReduce program. So because these people, they're very comfortable with SQL, so if they're going to write the queries in SQL, then it must be translated into the MapReduce program. So how we can translate it? Right? We need some tool. So here what happened? The Hive is born. What is going to call us? The Hive is born. This Hive, what it will do? This Hive will give you. It will give you this kind of interface. Interface means what? We are going to write SQL queries. So SQL query is going to write. We are going to write through the Hive's command line interface. And this Hive, what will do? It will automatically translate these queries into what? Into the MapReduce program. What program? Into a MapReduce program. Just keep it in mind. Because you have a data in Hadoop. So if you want to inject the data into the Hadoop, first of all, we should they have two options. One option is that we have to write the queries in the forms of MapReduce program. Right? That is very difficult for the SQL developers. So to solve this problem, what they did? They have created the tools called as Hive. What Hive will do? It will act like an interface, okay? Or you can say as a translator. It takes as a SQL query. It will translate into the MapReduce programs, and with the help of MapReduce programs, the query will be executed, and result will send back to the users. Okay, this is what the Hive concept came. Okay, so this is the way the Hive is going to solve a problem. So keep in mind, the Hive is nothing that the Hive is kind of interface. It will take just like SQL queries. It converts these SQL queries in the terms of MapReduce programs, and through MapReduce programs we can process the data and get the results. Okay, that is what the Hive came into the pictures. Okay, now you may ask one question, right? What questions we're going to ask is here. Okay, the question is that suppose we have Hadoop, right? Let me say this is Hadoop. Okay, this is Hadoop. Suppose I have one data. Let me say data is I'm taking CSC, okay, 4th year CSC dot txt. I have a data, okay, data about 4th year, your name, your ID numbers, you meet 1 exam marks, meet 2 exam marks, test 1, test 2, assignment 1, assignment 2. We have a big data. You have some data. How this data will be stored? Now this data will be stored in Hadoop clusters. As I told earlier that this SDFS is what? SDFS is used for storage purpose. We are going to store data in SDFS. So in SDFS, how are we going to store? In SDFS, we have two important nodes. Already you know, one is called as name node, which is called as a master node, and also is going to call as what? Data node, which is called as a slave node. So this in data nodes, we are going to store data in the forms of block, So you may have many data nodes. Suppose you say data nodes 1, we have a block. You are going to store data in the forms of block only. Suppose data node 1. We have a data node 2. Suppose you take data node 2. Okay, you are going to have data like this. It means this data is what? This data is stored here. This data is stored here into the different data nodes, Okay, different data nodes, this data is stored. Now, it means in SDFS, data is, now here you are going to give some queries. Suppose I am giving some queries, right? Suppose you take select, okay? Select ID, okay? A star from 4th year CAC, or you take some table name, 4th year CAC, suppose is a table name. Okay, suppose I am giving some queries. Any queries I am giving to access data from this MapReduce. So whatever queries I am giving here, this query will be what? Will be converted into MapReduce. What? MapReduce. Because if you want to interact the Hadoop, if you want to interact the data in the Hadoop, or if you want to process the data into Hadoop, we can interact or you can process only through the MapReduce programs. So as the SQL developers, I don't know MapReduce program, I don't know Hadoop framework, I don't know Java, I don't know how to create jar file. For me, so many problems are there because I'm not expertise in Java. So what I can do is that simply I can write my queries in the forms of SQL queries I'm going to write, and these SQL queries, what happens? These SQL queries will be converted into the forms of MapReduce programs. Okay, so here you are going to use what? The Hive. You are going to use the Hive command line interface. Keep in mind, this Hive is only the projection. It is projecting the data into Hadoop. Hive is not going to have a storage. That's not going to do any kind of storage, okay? It's only giving the projection. Suppose if you create a table, and if you load a data, it means loading data means what? Inserting data means what? It is projecting to the Hadoop. It's projecting the data into the data nodes. That's what you're doing, right? So whenever you're going to give some queries, that queries will be converted into the MapReduce. And then you're going to interact with the Hadoop and getting the results. So here what happened after getting this Hive, now these SQL developers become relaxed. Oh my goodness, now I don't want to learn Java. With my SQL itself, I can run my show, right? I can work on Hadoop indirectly, right? They have become a big relief. Later on, this Hive become the Apache projects. They are given to the Apache, right? It's become a big projects in the Apache. So because of the Facebook problem which they are facing, they came into what? They created the Hive. So question is that who has created the Hive? The Facebook companies only created the Hive. What is Hive? It is an interface, or it is a translator which can translate the SQL queries into the MapReduce program. Okay? So this is here the Hive is born, right? And the Hive has given the relief to all SQL developers of Facebook companies. Now they become happy. They're very happy, and they are working on Hadoop. They are firing the queries. They're getting data from the Hadoop. They are everything now happy for the what? For the Facebook developers. Okay. Now that time Hadoop 1.0 versions are using, and Hadoop 1.0 what? They use only the MapReduce programs to interact with the database. That's why they have enforced to create what? They've enforced to create the Hive. Okay, they enforced to create the Hive, which can, through that they can have interface to the Hadoop, and they can do processing, and they can analyze the data. After analyzing, they can create a report, right? They can create report for the companies, and they can do a lot of operations on the Hadoops. That's what the Hive born, right? So I hope you understand the story behind the Hive, how the Hive came into picture in the real world, right? Now we have to go further. Now, why are you going to use the Hive? That we're going to see one by one, right? Why Hive? So, up to this, I hope you understand the meaning of Hive, why Hive is born, and why Hive came to the pictures. So, how we can say why Hive? Built on HiveQL. See, the language which is used by Hive, it is called as HiveQL. Okay, or it is also called as HQL. You can call it HQL. It is just behave like a SQL query language. Just behave like a SQL query language. Nothing to worry about that. Okay. It interprets high queues and generate MapReduce jobs to that run on the cluster. So I told that it is just act like an interface. What act like a interface, and that will going to convert the queries into the MapReduce programs or MapReduce jobs. Now you see here, enables easy data summarizations, ad hoc reporting, inquiry, and analysis of large volume of data. Yes, already I told earlier that why you want to store data, we need to analyze the data to understand the customer behavior, to understand the quality, what kind of quality we can provide to the customers. And for that, we need to analyze the data. So this Hive will also provide these facilities. What? We can analyze the data, we can generate the report, right? We can analyze data in large volume of data, and you can generate a beautiful report, okay, about the organization. So this kind of facilities we can provide, the Hive is going to provide you this kind of facilities. Now, what is Hive? You'll see. Now, this is what the definition of the Hive. Hive is a data warehouse tool. Why it is a data warehouse tool? You know that the Hadoop, right? The Hadoop can store large volume of data. Large volume of data, massive amount of data. You can call it data warehouse. What is data warehouse? It is collection of different database. In data warehouse, we have massive amount of data. Same thing happening here also. The Hadoop is going to store the big data, massive amount of data. Okay? Hive is used to query structured data. See, the Hive is basically used to query structured data. We know that the Facebook is working on Oracle. In Oracle, what kind of data you have? In Oracle, only we have structured data. So what Facebook companies they do? They migrate all the structured data from Oracle to Hadoop. It means we are going to deal only on the structured data which is stored in Hadoop only. So this Hive is going to provide you and is going to give queries only for the structured data. Okay, just keep it in mind. Now here, who has created this Hive? Facebook has created this Hive only. Now this Hive indirectly, you can say indirectly, because it is interface, it is a translator which can translate SQL queries to MapReduce one. The Hive can use what? SDFS. Why? Because SDFS is used for the storage. What is SDFS? Hadoop Distributed File System. So it is built for storage. So you have to store data, then only you can analyze. Without storage, is possible to analyze? It's not possible to analyze the data. So if you want to analyze the data, we need to store the data. We store the big amount of data, massive amount of data. For that you need what? We need SDFS, right? MapReduce for execution, as already told. If you want to process data, if you want to execute the data, if you want to find the result from the data, we need to process them. And how to process in Hadoop? We have to use MapReduce, right? And store metadata in RDBMS, right? See, here also you are going to store metadata. What is metadata? Right? Data about data. You can simply call it metadata. Suppose if you're creating the table, we are having definition of table, definition of the schema, All these are called as what? Metadata. So where you're going to store this metadata? You can store in any RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. You can use MySQL, you can store there itself. So here, this Hadoop is going to use the following things. It can use SDFS for the storage. It can use MapReduce for execution. But how it's happened? Just like here. Suppose this is Hive, right? You can say this is Hive. Say this is Hive, right? So Hive is a tool. This is Hadoop. Already told it is Hadoop, right? This is called as Hadoop. In Hadoop, we have data are there in data nodes. In data nodes, we have a data, right? So here, what happens here is, here you are going to store data. That is nothing but in SDFS, you have a data, right? So here, what are you doing? You are just giving SQL queries or SQL queries. SQL queries you are giving, and it is just like interface. It is just like interface or translator. What else? It convert into what? Into MapReduce programs. MapReduce programs. And this MapReduce programs, what happens? It is going to act on or interact to this Hadoop to get the results. Okay, that's why the Hive used SDFS to store data. The Hive used MapReduce for processing of data. And it also used metadata, because once you create a table, the information about this data must be kept in any relational database management system. It means metadata, right? We have to store the metadata. So where are you going to store metadata? In any relational database management systems. So this is what, so you can say indirectly that the Hive can use SDFS, the Hive can use MapReduce programs to get an executions, and it store metadata in any relational database management systems. I hope up to this we have clear, right? Now you have to move to the next slides. Okay, MapReduce versus Hive. Wow, it's very interesting thing. Sometime may have some questions from your side. Sir, what is use of the Hive? Right? Because if you know the MapReduce program, directly you can run the MapReduce programs and you can get the results from the Hadoop. Then why I should go for the Hive? It is waste of time. Because, right, it is waste of time. See, this Hive is designed only for those developers who doesn't know Java, who doesn't know how to write Java code, who doesn't know how to compile Java code, who doesn't know how to create jar file and how to run. For them only the Hive is being created, not for Java expertise, If expertise for you are very expertise in Java, for you just go ahead with MapReduce. Write code in MapReduce, run it, get the results. Okay, you will be happy. But if I don't know Java, I become unhappy. So for me, I need something else which can help me, right? So what I can do, I can take the help of the Hive. So here, because if I want to write MapReduce programs, first of all, I should understand the Hadoop framework, how the Hadoop is working, how SDFS, in SDFS, how data is being stored, what is Mapper, what is Reducer, what is job tracker, task tracker, a lot of things I need to study. And then only what? Then only I can write the MapReduce programs. For me, it is so much complicated. So that's why here, this Hive is basically designed or created for those people who is not expertise in Java programming. It's clear? So this came from the Facebook problem, because Facebook was facing these issues. Because in Facebook companies, most of developers are SQL oriented. They have a spectrum on SQL, the expertise on SQL. They are operating Oracle. Okay, suddenly they move into what? Hadoop. And if you want to interact to data in Hadoop, you should know Java. And for them, Java is not easy task to learn within a day or within a single day or within a 1 month. They cannot become expertise in Java. For this kind of people's what we came with the Hive concepts, right? That's why this means. I hope you understand these things. Now, that's why engineers having SQL knowledge can quickly write Hive script and get the results. So, if you are very good in SQL queries, SQL script, we can easily use these tools, Hives. Okay, Hives can help you to interact with the Hadoop, and you can work with Hadoop. You can give you queries, and queries will convert into MapReduce programs, and then you're going to get the results. That's why the MapReduce versus the Hive. Now, what is Hive advantage? That we're going to discuss one by one. Here, the Hive advantage, it can use as an ETL. What is ETL? Extract, transform, and load. Okay, we have to extract the data, transform, and load into the table, right? It can use this kind of three important letters: E for extract, T for transform, and H for load. Suppose I'm creating the table. My table has been created. Now I want to load this data into, suppose I have a file. My file name is fortecac.txt is my file name. Now I want to load this file into the table. What I can do, I can load this file into the tables. Okay, so it means it can use this ETL, E for extract, T for transform, and L for call is loading, right? Now, providing a capability of querying analysis. Yes, I told you that the Hive is very beautiful tools, very beautiful. We can store data in Hadoop, we can analyze them, we can generate a report about your companies, and you will get insight from the report. We can get valuable information from the data, and you can improve your organizations. So that's why its capability of querying, and you can analyze the data very beautifully. Can handle large data sets. See, the Hive is not for a small data set. Keep it in mind. Hive is not being used for small data sets. It can use only for the large data sets. If you have bulk amount of data, if you have millions of records, if you have 50,000 of records, if you have, you can say many records are there, for that only the Hive can be used. So don't feel that I can use Hive for small data for less than GB or 100 MB or for 1 kilobyte or 10 kilobyte. If you use Hive, you are foolish. Hive is not for a small amount of data. It can be used only for the large data sets. That's why the Hive came. The Hive never operates on small amount of data. If you operate it, you are the one of the foolish person in the world, right? It can use only for the large data sets. Now here in this Hive, you can perform some other operation also, like you can filter it, you can perform join operation, right? You can perform group by operations, and on the top of the map and reduce. Now I ask one question to you. See, the Hive is always installed on the top of the Hadoop. On the top of the Hadoop. Suppose you see, let me take example. This is a Hadoop, right? This is a Hadoop. On the top of the Hadoop, I am going to install the Hive. Hive is always on the top of the Hadoop. Let me give you a real-time example. Everybody is using mobile phone, right? Even I am also using mobile phone. You also using mobile phone. Now, this mobile phone, if you use a mobile phone, you can make a call to your friends, right? We can call friends. You have a lot of options are there in mobile phones. Making call options, messaging options are there. So that's a mobile phone, right? Now, on the top of the mobile phone, we can install many applications, right? We can install WhatsApp application to make chat to your friends, to make video calling to your friends. You can have WhatsApp application. You can create a Facebook application. You can download Facebook application. So what you're doing is that on the top of this Android operating system, you are downloading WhatsApp application, you can say Facebook application, different types of applications you're downloading. So that applications is downloading nothing but it is just like what? It's just like Hive. And the mobile which you're using, that is going to call as what? Hadoop. The same way what here also is happening. So on the top of the Hadoop, suppose if it's Hadoop, on the top of the Hadoop, we are going to install the Hive. The Hive is going to install on the top of the Hadoop. And from this Hive, it provides the interface. Through that Hive, you fire the queries, it converts into MapReduce, go to the Hadoop, process them, get result back. That is going to Hive here. So always keep in mind that this Hive is always installed on the top of the Hadoop, right? Now, where not to use Hive? This is very important questions. Where you should not use the Hive? See, Hive should not be used if data does not cross GB. Minimum requirement. Minimum requirement is what? The data must cross at least GB. At least we have to respect the Hive. At least respect the Hive. At least data must be in the terms of GB. You cannot bring data in 1 kilobyte on 10 kilobyte and say, hi, I can use Hive. No, at least you respect the Hive. At least data must be, it should not be at least 0. If it does not cross the GB, don't use the Hive. Okay. Next thing, if you don't find a schema, see, already I told that the Facebook has created this Hive only for the structured data, right? Because Oracle is store only structured data. So what they did, they had migrated all the data from Oracle and they kept what? They kept in big data. They keep in Hadoop, because Hadoop is handling big data. Because big data is what? Combination of structure, semi-structures and structured data you have. So at least you should have some schema. Without a schema, you cannot use the Hive. Okay? At least you should have the schema. If you need a response in a second and for low latency application, this is very bad news for the Hive. Very bad news. This is what bad news I can say. The Hive speed is not so much fast. Okay, the response time is if you want to get queries in a millisecond, it is not possible. It's not possible. The Hive will give you response after some time. It takes some time because it is used only for. So if you want to run an application, if you say I want result immediately, for that Hive is not appropriate. Okay, the Hive will have a disadvantage. Response time is very long, right? It takes a lot of time to respond. It takes a lot of time to respond. So here the Hive speed is somewhat slow speed. So if you want result within fraction of a second, it is not possible using the Hive. That is one of the disadvantages of Hive. So if you need a response in a second and follow a latency application, that time please don't use Hive. I won't recommend you to use Hive if you want a response in a second or in a millisecond. In that case, you don't use Hive. Okay, this is what here not to use Hive, right? Now, if RDMS solve doesn't invest time in Hive, this is very funny question. See, if RDMS, if your problem can be solved by MySQL, if the problem can be solved by Oracle, if problem can be solved by MySQL Server, if problem can be solved by Microsoft SQL, then why you have to invest money simply for the Hive? Don't spend time on Hive. Okay, not about money, but don't spend time on the Hive because Hive is free. You can download freely, you can use it freely, so there is no money to spend on the Hive. But the time, why you have to invest time on the Hive? Time is very precious for everyone, right? So if your problem can be solved using MySQL, using RDMS, and using other real-time database, no need of using the Hive. You have to avoid the use of the Hive. Okay, this is what the way not to use Hive. Coming to next portion, you're going to see about the Hive features. Hive features. Okay. First one, Hive is very similar to RDBMS SQL-like queries. As I told earlier that the Hive is very much similar to RDBMS SQL, just like SQL, create a table, table name, we have to define the schema, just like the Hive also going to work in the same way, in the same nature, in the same phenomena. We feel you can enjoy Hive, right? Nothing to feel more about the Hive. It is also called as HQL or HiveQL based on SQL92 framework. So it is also called as HQL. So if you want to, what kind of language Hive is using? The language which is used by Hive is called as HQL, or it is also called as what? HiveQL based on SQL92 framework. It means it uses HQL language. So it is also called as HQL, or you can call it as HiveQL, or you can go into call it simply, you can call it as HiveQL, you can call it as HiveQL, or you can call it as what? You can call it as HQL. It is up to you. It is up to you. The option is up to you. So the language which is used by this Hive is called as HiveQL, or you can call it as what? You can call it as HQL. Okay, next, difference from SQL. Fine. So if it's very much similar to SQL, then what kind of difference we have from SQL? Hive queries execute on Hadoop infrastructure. So where you are going to execute these Hive queries? On Hadoop infrastructure, because we are having the what? You are having the Hadoop, right? You are having the Hadoop like this. You are having the Hadoop clusters, right? And you are going to give queries from Hive command line interface. and going to inject to the Hadoop and getting the results from that. So this Hive query execute where? It will execute only on Hadoop infrastructures. Nothing else. You have to execute the Hive only on Hadoop infrastructures rather than a traditional database. So you are not going to use traditional database to execute the query of Hive. So if you want to execute the query of Hive, you must use only the Hadoop infrastructure. Right. Now this allows Hive to handle huge data sets. Obviously, because Hadoop is the only solution to handle the huge data sets. Hadoop is used only to handle big data, right? To store big amount of data. That's why this allows Hive to handle huge data sets. So Hive is designed to handle only the huge data sets. So if you have huge data sets in the terms of terabytes, terms of exabytes, terms of petabytes, you bring and you can execute using the Hive. The internal execution of the Hive query is via a series of automatically generated MapReduce jobs. So how Hive query is going to execute? That we're going to see in a simple example. How we're going to execute this Hive query? We need to have a MapReduce, because Hive query will be going to convert it into the MapReduce programs, and that MapReduce programs help you to execute inside the Hive to get the results. Now we're going to see about the Hive architecture. Okay, that's very important point here. This is called as Hive architecture. Okay, now you see these Hive architectures. You see how many services we have. We have the Hive client. We have the Hive services, we have processing and resource management, we have distributed storage. Okay, so this first portion is going to call as the Hive client. It means how we are how we are going to get the Hive services. If you want to get the Hive services, you must need command line interface. What line interface? Which is called as command line interface. That is called as command line interface you are going to have. Okay, so using command line interface, we are going to avail Hive services. Hive service in the sense you are going to create a table, you are going to load the data, you are going to do all kind of manipulation, all kind of operation on the Hive services. So first for that you need to what? You need to have Hive client. And also suppose if you want to interact to the Hive server, you can create Hive server also. See, you can create also what? You can create Hive server. What are you going to create? You can create Hive server also. Okay, you can create Hive server. So if you want to create Hive server, you can interact through JDBC, right? You can have JDBC and ODBC connections. Through that, you can interact to the Hive server. In Hive servers, we have B-line. Okay, again, we have question is what is B-line? The B-line is a client-side application, right? It is a client-side application. Through B-line only, we are going to interact to the Hive server. So if you want to interact to the Hive server, we have to use what? We have to use the B-line. Okay, B-line. So for B-line, you need to have established connections. We can use either JDBC or ODBC to establish connections to what? To the Hive server. Okay, so after getting connection to the Hive servers, you can use these services. Okay, now here it means suppose I am passing a queries. If I am passing any queries, my query is what? My query is accepted by the driver. It means my query is coming to the driver. Okay, the driver will going to have my queries. So you are going to give queries to the driver. The first the queries will come to the driver. Now these drivers will give these queries, because we need to compile the query. You need to check syntactically check the queries. You have to parse the queries. For parsing and to checking syntactically, we need to give this query to the compiler. To the compilers, right? You need to have the compilers. Now to compile these queries, the compilers need some data. Okay, which is going to call as metadata. What data? Metadata. Okay. So about the definition of table or schema of the tables, or the information about the tables, that is called as metadata. Now the question is that where this metadata is available, where you have to place this metadata, where this metadata is available. The metadata is available only in the meta store. What is going to call as a meta store. The meta store is a place where you can find all metadata. What you can find? You can find the metadata. Right now, we have to find the metadata into meta store. What is meta store? The meta stores may be any relational database management system. Okay, it may be MySQL. Okay, any relational database management system. But we have the meta stores. So what compilers will do is that the compilers will send requests to meta stores to get information about the metadata, because compilers should know should know where this data is available. So what the compilers will send request to metastore to get metadata from the metastores. Now what metastores will do? The metastores will provide data to the compilers. Data to the compilers, and then what the compilers will give this data to the driver, right? Now here what happens in this, after getting data from the metastore, then only compilers will start parsing, right? It will start compiling the jobs, okay? The compiles your plan, right? Compiles your queries, right? So what happens here? The compiler process is going to be completed. Now this, what happens after that? Drivers will going to drivers will pass this information. Compilers are going to pass information to the driver. Here what happens? The compilers will going to pass information to the driver, and what drivers will give it to the optimizers, because you have to optimize the code, you have to optimize the queries. So if you optimize the queries, the drivers will pass this information to the optimizer, Okay, so this kind of things is happening in the Hive services. Okay, just in one say, you can say that we are having the Hive client. We are interacting to the Hive client. You are giving the queries. These queries will come to the driver. The drivers will give this to the compilers. The compilers know whether this data is located. So compilers will send request to metastore. The metastores will having the metadata. The metadata will store one in the metastore. Metastores may be any relational database. So they will send metadata information to the compilers. Again, what compilers will give this information to the driver. The drivers will give to optimizers. The optimizers will going to optimize the code. And then what happens here? The actual processing will take place. Okay, we are going to get what you are going to get, map redo jobs. What jobs are going to get? We are going to get the map redo jobs. So here what happens? The processing will take place. After processing, what happens? We are going to get the result back. Okay, so here how it's going to happen? It's happening from the client side. First you are going to have the Hive client, then Hive will going to provide the services. Then here what happens? Here you are going to do the processing and getting result back to the users. Okay, in this way what happens is going to happen. So it's very simple architecture, you can say. We have a Hive client called as client line interface, right? We have the beeline. Okay, beeline is also client applications. We can connect to the Hive server through beeline also. Then you're passing to the driver. The drivers will receive your queries. It passes to the compilers. Compilers will get metadata from the metastore. Metastore will be any relational database. It stores only metadata. Then this will pass to the compiler. Again, compilers will pass to driver. Driver will pass to optimizers to optimize the code. And then what happens here? The MapReduce programs will start executing, and you're going to get the result backs. So this is the Hive architecture there. So you will see in the next classes in detail how this Hive architecture is going to be work in a next classes are going to discuss. So thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much. So I'm closing this session for today classes.